Islamic law, known as Sharia law, can cover literally anything, from hygiene and diet to murder and how to treat prisoners of war. But how it's adhered to and where it's enforced is no simple question. There are 49 countries around the world where Islam is the dominant religion. Across these nations, there are different kinds of Muslims and different interpretations. Some say there are 5 main schools of thought on Sharia law, and different regions favour different schools. But there are 3 primary ways Sharia law has been implemented across the globe. The first way is that Sharia is simply not the official law at all. Some of the Islamic nations that are deemed secular are Chad, Somalia and Senegal in Africa. Turkey and Azerbaijan also fall into this category. That's not to say Islam doesn't influence local customs in each of these countries, but each of these nations has tried, to varying degrees, to separate religion from politics and the rule of law. In some countries, Sharia has been implemented in full, in essence where Islam is used as the source of all law, from personal matters like marriage to crimes against the state. Examples where Islam is used as the code of law include Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and the United Arab Emirates. And in Pakistan, Iran and Iraq, no law can be enacted by the government if it's seen to oppose Islamic doctrine. But again, the level of enforcement and interpretation varies. For example, in Saudi Arabia, women in public must be covered at all times and have a male guardian, whereas in the Arab Emirates, alcohol is tolerated. Brunei is the first country in Southeast Asia to adopt Sharia law in its entirety. The Sultan of Brunei announced the plan in 2011, and in May of this year, the Sultan enacted a controversial new Islamic-based penal code, which includes fines or jail terms for pregnancies outside of marriage. Laws being phased in over the next 2 years include whipping and amputation for theft and the death penalty for adultery. The final way Sharia is used in Muslim nations is as part of the legal system. This is the group many Islamic countries fall into. Countries like Nigeria and Kenya have Sharia courts for some matters, like marriage and divorce, and a separate legal system for everything else. In Southeast Asia, Malaysia also has a dual legal system. In countries with dual systems, Sharia rulings generally do not directly affect non-Muslims, and there are non-Muslim countries such as Singapore that allow Sharia courts to operate for some cases. But again, how strictly each nation implements it is different, and this can even change within a nation. In Indonesia, the world's most populous Muslim country, the prevalence of Sharia law changes depending on where you live. Some regions have Sharia-inspired laws, but in areas like Hindu-dominated Bali, Islam has less sway. There is one area in Indonesia, though, that tries to apply Sharia law in full. Aceh province was given this right by the Indonesian government in 2001, and the province has its own police and courts to enforce restrictions against gambling, sex and drinking alcohol in the region.